Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Discriminating Gamer. I recently heard that a group of scientists created the world's largest suction cup. Huh. I don't know how they pulled that off. Ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to go ahead and take a look at Dead by Daylight, the board game from Level 99 Games. Dead by Daylight, the board game from Level 99 Games, is for 3 to 5 players, in which one player takes on the role of a killer, one of several different killers, while the other players will take on the roles of survivors, and they will attempt to fix the generators and get out of the area and escape the killer. Now, each character is going to go ahead and get their own player board. The killer will have a player board with a lot of his information on it, perks, special abilities he can do during the game. He'll also get a number of blood tokens that kind of function like a currency in the game. The other players, they will also have their boards. They will have their own perks printed on the board, or you can add perks from cards outside of the player boards. And they will get a number of blood tokens as well. Again, a currency. Now, you have your own characters, your minis that are going to represent either the killer or the survivors, and you've got a game board that has the various rooms in it and pathways with different colors leading to and from different rooms, and there's maybe some rules about exactly how characters can move from one room to the other on the board. For instance, a arrow means you can just go one way. Players are going to get a number of cards in those colors that represent, like leaping or crouching or whatever, that you're going to have, that you're going to play every round. The killer will get that. He'll also get a wait card. He can hang out if he wants to in a space. Now, you've got a number of die, and these die essentially have 1 through 5 on them, and then the killer's symbol. Now, what you're going to do at the beginning of the game is every player, including the killer, is going to roll a die, and that number is going to tell them where they start on the board. They can start in the same place as the killer, not a big deal. Now, what you're going to do is every player will go, and then the killer will go, and they will play these cards, and they can move along those appropriate colored pathways. Well, when they get to a new location, there are a number of tokens there in different colors, and these represent different things. The yellow is essentially, could possibly be the generator that they need. They need to repair 4 generators. But then there's also other items they can find. There's red things, which can be hooks, and you don't want to be in a room with a hook. But you can go ahead, every time you enter a room, you flip over one of the tokens if there's any left to be flipped over, and you see what that is. There may be items you can draw from there, which can be a good thing. There may be lockers that you can hide in, which could be a good thing. Now, when you find a generator and you want to activate it, you've got to go ahead and take a skill check, and you're going to go ahead and roll the die. Now, if you roll the die on a 1 through 4, it's a success. You can place 1 success marker next to that generator. If you roll a 5, then you get kind of a critical success. You get to put 2 repair markers there next to that generator. If, however, you roll the symbol of the killer, you actually have to give him a blood token. He gets more powerful. Now, some game effects will cause you to roll the danger die. The danger die has more failure sides, that's the killer's face, and only 2 great success faces. So that's a risk rolling the danger die, and it probably won't turn out well for you, but if it does work out for you, it really works out for you. Now, the killer, he goes ahead and he gets his turn. Now, the killer, when he goes into the spaces, he gets to turn over a token as well, and he actually gets to move twice. He gets to have 2 program movements. And so he gets to move twice, and he goes into these locations. He can flip over one of these things too. Now, if he flips over the red token, again, he's trying to expose a hook. He wants the most hooks on the board that he can find. Now, the killer can also choose to attack someone in his space. If he attacks someone in his space, you put the bloody ring on him. That essentially shows that they're near death. They're not going to do too well. Now, if someone has a bloody ring on him and he's in the space with them, he can attempt to sacrifice them, essentially carry them to the nearest hook. Now, once he decides to carry them to another location with a hook, he essentially can pick a location up to 1 to 4 spaces away. For every space they move through, that survivor can roll a die. Now, if they roll just one great success, they're free, they get away. If that's not the case, he takes them to that location, he puts them on a hook. Now, they can be rescued, but that can be dangerous too for their fellows. Now, as I say, the survivors are trying to repair the generators. They've got to repair 4 of the generators, and then they also have to find the exit, which is also another yellow token. So if they succeed in finding all 4 of the generators and the exit token, then they are able to escape and win the game. However, if the killer succeeds in preventing that from happening, in killing enough of the survivors, then he wins. Dead by Daylight, the board game. We'll get back to the review in just a moment. I want to take a minute to ask you to check out my other channel, that is Cody Carlson, PhD, where we talk about history, books on history, military history. I even post some of my lectures for my classes on there. Please check that out. Please subscribe to that channel. And now, back to the review. All right, so there's more going on here. There's other powers. The survivors have an entity token they can place over the hooks to kind of nullify it for a round. And like I say, the perks come in and they can do all sorts of different and funky things. There's a lot going on here, but that is basically how you play the game. There's also 2 sides on the board with the base game here for 2 different maps, which provide kind of a different challenge you can do. And in fact, there are a ton of perk cards, so you can play the game where you're dealing out perk cards, and your perks are different from game to game. There's some other game modes I haven't really gotten into, but what I'm getting at is there's a lot of replayability here. There's a lot of ways you can go back and play this game and have a different experience every time you play it, which is obviously something you want. You want a lot of replayability from a game like this. So we played this the other night. It was me, Chris, Al, Mike, and Ray. It was the 5 of us. We played it a few times. And the first time we played it, I was the killer, and I didn't know what I was doing, and they won easy. Then when we figured out we got kind of through the learning curve, which is not heavy, and kind of figured the game out a little bit more, the killer was pretty dominant from that point forward. The game is fun. It's a good cat and mouse game. It's a good game of trying to outthink the killer. Where is he going to go? Where are the choke points? The heroes can put out pallets to try to prevent him from moving from one place to another. There's a lot of different little choices you can make throughout the game in order to meet your objectives, whatever they are. And the game does it very well. The game handles it very well. I think we all really got into it. We got into the theme of the game. There was that tension of the killer coming after you. But just from a gameplay mechanical standpoint, it's not a terribly difficult game to learn the rules. Like I say, in kind of finding the nuances, you kind of you have to work for that. But it's fun to try to find those things. But we all got into it. We all enjoyed this. I think a couple of them guys said they would probably end up buying this or seeing if their family wanted to buy it because they had so much fun with it. It is. It's a good, solid horror game. If you like games about killers and survivors and stuff like that, this is really a fun game. I believe this was a video game first. I haven't played the video game, but the board game was a heck of a lot of fun. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to give this I'm going to say an 8 on the Cody scale. Really enjoyed it. Really had fun with it. And I know there's some expansions out there as well, so I think the base game's got a lot of replayability. And if you really like the game, there's a lot more out there to complement it as well. I think it's a great horror themed game. Thank you once again for joining us today on The Discriminating Gamer. As always, I'd ask you to please give a thumb to this video on YouTube and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Please check us out on Facebook and Twitter, and please leave a thumb for this video on Board Game Geek as well. If you like what we do here, please check out my other channel, that is Cody Carlson, PhD, where we talk about history, military history, books on history, those sorts of things. I even put up some of my lectures on that channel. It would mean the world to me if you would subscribe to that channel. And if you do really enjoy the stuff we do here, I would humbly ask you to click on the super thanks button and leave a tip. You know, I don't mean to brag, but I recently won $3 million in the lottery, and I gave a quarter of it to charity. That means I have $2,999,999.75 left.